You see, we have been taught to believe that life is a kind of journey, a pilgrimage, a trek, an upward climb toward a distant reward, but that is a complete illusion. Life is not a business deal where you barter your time for success. It's not an equation where effort equals value. You were not born into this world to struggle your way to some imagined pinnacle. You were born into it to be a part of it, to dance with it. The oak tree does not force its way into being. The waves do not fight the shore. The stars do not strain to shine. They simply are. They exist in harmony with a vast intelligence that animates everything. And so do you, though you may have forgotten. You are not a foreigner in this world. You did not come into it. You came out of it, like a leaf from a tree or a ripple from the sea. You are the expression of the universe, the same way a rose is the expression of a rose bush. But somewhere along the line you were told to try harder, to be better, to worry, to control, to grasp. And in grasping you began to forget. But here's the secret. The universe doesn't need your attention. It doesn't require your struggle. It does not ask you to clench your fists or furrow your brow. It only asks you to be here, like the wind, like the rain, like the breath moving in and out of your lungs. You don't breathe by will, you are breathed. You don't beat your heart is beating itself, and that is no small miracle. Yet you think you must earn the right to live peacefully? No, that is conditioning, a misunderstanding. Peace is already your nature. Your real job is not to make the river flow faster, but to stop throwing rocks into it. Stop resisting. Stop doubting. Just relax. What you call your life is the universe playing with itself in a form. It is not separate from the stars above or the earth below. You are woven into it like melody in a song. And when you stop trying to force your way forward, when you let go of trying to manipulate every moment, you begin to notice something extraordinary. You begin to notice that the universe was never against you. It was just waiting for you to stop holding your breath. Have you ever noticed how everything that truly mattered came when you weren't chasing it? Love, beauty, laughter, insight. They all arrived when you were simply open, not striving. That's the way of it. The more you chase, the more it eludes you. The more you trust, the more it appears. This doesn't mean you don't act. Of course you act. But you act with the ease of a dancer, not the panic of a person drowning. You move with the music, not in opposition to it. And in doing so, you align yourself with something vast, something that knows the way better than your anxious thoughts ever could. You see, the universe is already giving you everything. Every breath is a gift. Every heartbeat is a rhythm of belonging. Every sunset is an offering. But when your mind is filled with resistance, fear, and comparison, you're too busy looking elsewhere to notice. Relaxing isn't laziness. It's trust. It's the trust that you are not abandoned. It's the realization that what is meant for you is already yours in the invisible. And the only barrier is your insistence on controlling the how and when. So today, breathe. Let your shoulders drop. Smile for no reason. Walk without urgency. Say yes to stillness. Say yes to not knowing. Say yes to now. Because that's where everything lives. And slowly you'll begin to see you don't have to chase life. Life is already here, and it loves you. Relax. The universe will give you everything, just when you're finally ready to receive it. You did not come into this world as a stranger, as someone dropped into a foreign landscape needing to prove their worth or carve out a space through sheer force. You came out of it, just like a wave comes out of the ocean or a leaf grows from a tree. You are not a visitor to this universe. You are an expression of it. Every cell in your body is made of the same elements that compose the stars, the rivers, the wind, and the earth. But from early on, you were taught a different story. That you are alone, that life is a competition, that survival means effort and control, that success must be earned, through tension and struggle. So we grow up feeling disconnected, as if we're fighting against the very world that gave us birth. This illusion, this belief in separation, is the source of so much anxiety, because it tells you that you must do something extraordinary just to belong. But what if that's never been true? What if belonging is not something you achieve, but something you remember? That remembering begins when you start to see yourself not as a separate ego trying to conquer reality, but as a living current of the universe itself. You are not here to dominate life, you are here to flow with it. And that flowing begins the moment you let go of the need to always be in control. We think we must grip life tightly, steer it aggressively, hustle endlessly, but that tightness only cuts us off from the natural intelligence of existence. You don't make your heart beat, it beats on its own. You don't tell your lungs to breathe, they do it effortlessly. The blood moves, the thoughts come and go, the body grows, all without your conscious control. These are signs that you are being lived by something greater than your conscious mind. There is already an intelligence at work, the same intelligence that makes the sun rise and the moon glow, that grows trees from seeds and turns caterpillars into butterflies. Why then do we assume that this intelligence suddenly disappears when it comes to our careers, our relationships, or our dreams? It doesn't. But what does happen is that we become so entangled in fear, in comparison, in doubt, that we block the flow of life through us. When you think you must earn your place, you become tense. You stop listening, you stop noticing the signs, the synchronicities, the natural direction that life is trying to take you. You overthink, overanalyze, and second-guess every choice. But the moment you relax, not by giving up, but by giving in, you become receptive again. If you align with that deeper rhythm, life starts to feel less like a battle and more like a dance. It's in that space of stillness, of non-resistance, that things begin to shift. Ideas appear, people cross your path, opportunities open. This doesn't mean you do nothing. It means you act from a different place, not from panic, but from presence, not from fear, but from trust. You stop fighting the current, and you learn to float with it. And as you do, you realize something beautiful, that the universe has always been offering you everything. You just needed to stop holding your breath to receive it. The idea that constant striving leads to happiness is one of the greatest myths we've inherited. From the time we're young, we are told that success, peace, and fulfillment lie somewhere in the future, just beyond the next achievement, the next promotion, the next relationship, the next goal. And so we run. We run faster and harder, believing that the faster we move, the sooner we'll arrive. But we never quite get there, do we? The finish line keeps moving. We reach a goal, and another appears. We check a box, and a new one replaces it. It becomes a game of endless pursuit, and along the way we forget to live. This way of being is not natural. It is conditioned. The birds don't fly to achieve flight, they simply fly. The flowers don't bloom to prove their worth, they just bloom. Nature doesn't rush, yet everything is accomplished in time. But humans, in our constant hurry to become something more, forget that we are already enough. We tie our value to our effort and begin to believe that relaxation is weakness, that doing nothing is laziness, and that only through pressure will we evolve. But in truth, the most profound things in life come not when we are chasing, but when we are still. Love enters when we're open. Creativity emerges when we're at ease. Insight dawns when the mind is quiet. You don't need to force what is meant for you. It's not about giving up. It's about letting go. Letting go of the obsession with outcomes. Letting go of the fear that if you're not constantly pushing, everything will fall apart. And here's the irony. The more you chase, the more it slips through your fingers. The more you try to control, the more chaotic life seems to become. But when you surrender, when you stop resisting and simply trust the moment, things start to unfold naturally. This doesn't mean you become passive. You still show up, still take action, but your energy is no longer frantic. It's rooted, calm, clear. You're no longer forcing the river to bend to your will. You're learning to swim with it. Striving makes you believe that fulfillment is a destination. Relaxing helps you see that fulfillment is a state of being. It's not found out there. It is available right now, underneath all the tension you've been carrying. But to access it, you must stop gripping so tightly. You must soften your shoulders, release the weight of expectation, and trust that life is not against you. It never was. You were just too busy running to notice that everything you needed was already being offered. To relax is not to become idle or careless. It is a radical act of trust. Trust in life, trust in the unseen order, trust that you are held even when you cannot see the hands. Most people have been conditioned to believe that trust must be earned, that security comes from control, and that only through effort can one shape the future. But the truth is, the tighter you grip, the more fragile things become. Control is an illusion. A comforting one, perhaps, but an illusion nonetheless. And in trying to control everything, you lose your ability to feel the natural intelligence of life guiding you. Trust, on the other hand, is like loosening the soil around a growing plant. It allows space, it allows breath, it allows the unexpected to enter. It is the opposite of tension. When you trust, you stop acting from fear, you stop trying to force outcomes, and instead begin to work with life, not against it. There's a softness in trust, not weakness, a quiet strength that says, I don't know what's coming, but I will meet it fully. In every moment, life is speaking to you, through your intuition, through coincidences, through silence. But it can only be heard when you are still enough to listen. When you are frantic, anxious, caught up in trying to micromanage reality, you miss the signs, you miss the timing, you miss the beauty. Trust brings you back to the now, to the only moment where real life actually happens. It's in the now that you can breathe fully. It's in the now that your body relaxes and your heart opens. Trust is also the understanding that not everything will go the way your mind wants. But that doesn't mean things are going wrong. Sometimes what looks like a detour is exactly the redirection needed to bring you closer to something greater. Sometimes not getting what you want is the very thing that frees you from a path that was never meant for you. But if you're too busy resisting, you'll never see the blessing. Trust allows you to rest in uncertainty without needing to fix it. It allows you to be present even when the future is unclear. And most of all, it reconnects you to yourself, to the part of you that is not afraid, that is not desperate, that is already whole. When you relax into trust, life begins to surprise you. Things come together without strain. People appear at the right moment. Solutions rise up without you needing to chase them. This isn't magic, it's alignment. And alignment only comes when you step out of the noise of fear and into the quiet confidence that the universe is already working on your behalf. So to relax is not to give up. It is to remember your place in the great pattern of things, not as the one who must control it all, but as the one who is part of it all, supported by it all, and ultimately never separate from its wisdom. Life, in its essence, is not meant to be forced. It is meant to be aligned with. The natural world offers a perfect mirror for this truth. Rivers do not rush anxiously to the sea, and yet they always get there. Trees do not push themselves to grow, they simply unfold according to their design, nourished by sun, rain, and time. The moon does not hurry to wax or wane, and yet it moves in perfect rhythm. These patterns are not accidents, they are reflections of a deeper intelligence, an order, a flow, a silent harmony that governs everything, including you. But somewhere along the way you were taught that life must be conquered, that success, love, happiness, even peace must be earned through effort and force. So you became tense. You rushed, you tried to control what cannot be controlled. You pushed against the flow, mistaking struggle for strength. But the deeper truth is this: the more you force, the more resistance you create. The more you try to bend life to your will, the more chaotic it becomes. The energy of forcing is rooted in fear, fear that you are not enough, fear that life won't give you what you need unless you demand it. And yet, when you look at the most profound experiences in life, joy, insight, love, clarity, they never come through force. They arise when you are still, open, present. They emerge when you are no longer pushing. That is the mystery of harmony. It can't be captured. It can only be invited. It happens when you trust the rhythm of life and move in step with it, not in opposition to it. This is not passivity. It is participation. It is a conscious choice to stop fighting and start listening. To live in harmony is not to do nothing. It is to act from a place of inner alignment. It means tuning into the moment and responding with awareness instead of reacting with fear. It means knowing when to move and when to wait, when to speak and when to be silent. It means honoring your own rhythm instead of trying to live by someone else's tempo. When you act from harmony, things begin to unfold with a sense of grace. You begin to notice that the right people arrive, the right doors open, and the right answers come, not because you forced them, but because you created space for them. There is an elegance to this kind of living. It is not loud or dramatic. It is subtle, quiet, peaceful. It feels like a gentle wind instead of a storm. You become like the dancer who trusts the music, moving not with rigid steps, but with freedom and presence. The dance becomes effortless, not because it lacks discipline, but because it no longer resists the natural movement. This is what happens when you stop trying to push life forward and begin to trust its unfolding. You step into a deeper intelligence, one that doesn't need your panic, only your presence. Everything you are searching for, love, joy, peace, meaning, is already here in this very moment. But the mind, conditioned by years of distraction and ambition, constantly pulls you away from the present. It whispers that happiness lies somewhere ahead in the next achievement, the next relationship, the next escape. And so you become a seeker, endlessly chasing what was never lost. The present becomes a stepping stone rather than a destination. You live for tomorrow, overlooking the quiet miracle of now. But the truth is, life only ever happens now. The past is memory. The future is imagination, both constructed in the mind. The present is the only place where your body breathes, your heart beats, your senses feel. It is the only place where life is real, yet ironically it's the place most people spend the least time in. We are always waiting for a better moment, a bigger breakthrough, a more satisfying version of reality. But by postponing presence, we postpone living. If you slow down enough, you begin to feel the richness of what is already here. The warmth of your breath, the softness of light, the quiet pulse of being. There is nothing missing in this moment except your attention. And that is the great tragedy. The treasures of life are buried in the now. And yet we are too distracted to notice. We scroll, we worry, we analyze, always trying to arrive somewhere else. But what if there is nowhere else? What if this is it? The moment you truly arrive in the now, everything changes. A deep sense of peace arises, not because all your problems vanish, but because your resistance to them dissolves. You realize that most of your suffering comes not from what is happening, but from your thoughts about what's happening. Presence interrupts that mental noise. It offers clarity, stillness, and grounding. It is not an escape from life. It is a direct encounter with it. Being present also awakens appreciation. You begin to see the beauty in ordinary things, the shape of a cloud, the laughter of a friend, the way sunlight dances on the wall. These are not small moments. They are life itself, showing you its magic. But you must be here to see them. You must put down the mental baggage and look with fresh eyes. In doing so, you reconnect with yourself, not as an idea or identity, but as a living experience. This presence also allows deeper intuition to emerge. When you're no longer lost in thought, your inner wisdom speaks more clearly. You begin to move from a place of alignment rather than reaction. You begin to choose rather than simply respond. That is where freedom begins, not in controlling the outside world, but in showing up fully to the moment and meeting it with awareness. The present moment is not a prison. It is your only doorway to truth, love, and peace. Everything you've ever truly wanted lives here, not in some future fantasy, but right now, waiting for you to slow down enough to receive it. When you finally let go of the need to control every outcome, when you stop obsessing over timelines and methods, something incredible begins to happen. life starts to give, not in chaotic bursts, not out of pity or randomness, but with precision and grace. The universe, in its vast intelligence, has always been offering you what you need, but receiving requires a certain state of being. It requires openness, it requires readiness, and most of all, it requires the courage to stop interfering. So much of what you desire, peace, love, success, clarity, doesn't come through effort alone. It arrives when you become a clear vessel for it. Imagine trying to fill a cup that's already overflowing with worry, doubt, and rigid plans. There's simply no space. You must empty yourself a little. You must trust enough to clear the clutter and say, I don't need to force this. I'm willing to receive what's right, even if it looks different than I expected. This is where most people get stuck. They believe receiving means waiting passively or doing nothing. But true receiving is deeply active. It's the act of aligning your energy, your mind, your body with the vibration of trust. It's saying no to frantic motion and yes to stillness. It's knowing when to act and when to be quiet, when to reach out and when to let go. This kind of wisdom can't be manufactured. It arises when you step out of fear and into faith. You don't have to chase every opportunity. You don't have to beg for attention or approval. What is meant for you is not fragile. It cannot be lost. But to realize that, you must stop gripping so tightly to what you think should happen. The universe is often more generous than your imagination, but you must be willing to loosen the reins. It's not about abandoning effort. It's about dropping unnecessary resistance. That resistance is what clogs the flow. When you trust that the universe will give you everything, you stop rushing, you stop comparing, you stop panicking when things don't go to plan. You understand that some delays are divine. They are protecting you, redirecting you, preparing you. And when you are ready, not in your timeline, but in life's, what is truly yours will arrive, sometimes quietly, sometimes all at once, but always on time. Receiving is not about being worthy, you already are. It's about being open. And openness begins with relaxation, not the kind of laziness that turns into avoidance, but the kind of surrender that softens your inner walls and says, I trust that life knows what it's doing. In that state, even silence becomes fertile. Even waiting becomes sacred. And slowly, without force, everything you need begins to find you, because it always was.